Hey guys, I just watched Knucklebone and I just recorded a really lit review of it on my laptop trying to use Photo Booth, and it didn't record at all because ever since the update my eye crapper camera doesn't work properly, and it sucks because that review was so good. Now I gotta start all over again. I don't even feel excited anymore because I gotta start all over again and using my regular camera again. So here we go. I just finished watching Knucklebone. It was really entertaining. I actually heard about it from CML Entertainment. Shout out to you, CML, and your wife. I love her little ad-libs as she's recording you. It's kind of like a slasher movie, but then at the same time it's kind of a supernatural movie. The thing about it is it's very low budget, which is no problem for me because I love low budget movies, especially if they make up for what they lack in low budget with creativity, especially if they're trying to do practical effects, which I really love. And oh, speaking of that, I think I'm going to call this B-Movie Monday and do that every Monday of this month. Try to find some B-movies to talk about because I really love them. Anyways, it starts out in Germany, like Nazi Germany, and they're trying to do this experiment on this lady. Well, it's a naked lady with a really bad blonde wig, and I don't know what kind of experiment they're doing to her, but they say something in German and then she just starts going with her really bad blonde wig, and then I think her face explodes. Next it cuts to this factory, which is kind of like a clothing factory, kind of like a dry cleaners, where apparently they were making Nazi uniforms in America, which I wonder if that's true. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't, because America's about money. Anyways, so we cut to that. This woman gets all kinds of messed up. I won't tell you how because that would be a spoiler. Then her son gets chased, and he's about 12-13 years old. He appears to get captured. Then it cuts again. Remember how I said there was no transitions? Zero transitions, just scene, scene, scene. We got one bumper card that said 40 years later, which was between the factory scene and the scene of I'm just about to talk about now, where this girl is at a carnival and she's buying some funnel cake, and she just stands there looking awkward for a minute, and then she looks down at this funny looking little boy, and she's like, "Do you want this cake?" And he's like, and she says, "Well, what are you going to do for me if I give you this cake?" Which sounds, no, reverse the sexist. If that was a grown man saying that to a little girl, that would sound hella pedo. But anyways, he says to her, "Oh, I'll give you a kiss." And then she says, "Well, I don't think my fiance will appreciate that." Up walks her fiance with this giant elephant, and then he promptly breaks up with her for, she says she doesn't know the reason. I think that he found a boyfriend. No, I'm not trying to be shady, but that actor, he was pinging my gaydar so much. I thought he was gonna say to, like, when she said, "Oh, is it another woman?" I really was expecting him to say, "Well, no, it's this dude named Trey that I met at the gym." And I really kind of wanted the movie to go in that direction. That would have been really cool. Anyways, she goes home. She tries to slit her wrist and sits in a bathtub full of 2 inches of water. Why? I'm assuming it's because it's on a set and they just had buckets of water to pour in there. Because literally the water didn't even cover up her legs. Like, what was the purpose of you even putting water in a bathtub? It's only going to be 2 inches deep. It just didn't make any sense. Then she wakes up in a hospital. She has no bandages on her wrist, which is an immediate, ding ding ding, that this is a dream sequence. She goes down to Freddy Krueger's boiler room. We hear children singing a song that isn't like the song from Nightmare on Elm Street, only it kind of is. And then she wakes up, and then zero transition, she's at home, which makes no sense, because if we're to assume that this is the next day, that wouldn't happen, because if someone commits suicide, the hospital usually has to keep them for observation for at least 72 hours. Not only that, she's at home. Her mom promptly leaves her in the room by herself with a bottle full of pills, which of course she tries to take because she's suicidal. Anyways, her friend shows up, and I should say her friend and her weave. Even my husband said, "Look at her weave." And a weave is bad if a guy actually notices that it's a weave. So he was like, "Look at her bad weave. You could really tell that's not her hair." So her friend with her blonde weave shows up and convinced her to go out with some other friends. So it's like 3 girls and 2 guys, which one of the girls kind of looks like Pat Minotaur. There's the main suicidal girl. There's a blonde weave girl. There's a guy that kind of, I'm going to call him not Aaron Carter, because that's who he almost reminded me of. And then there's like this stock dark-haired boyfriend type character. and they all decide to go to this factory, which not Aaron Carter turns into Mr. Exposition and explains exactly to them how, well, this is an abandoned factory that made Nazi uniforms 40 years ago and people say it's haunted. Just like that, pretty much. Like, I don't even think anyone asked him. I think it just came out. So they go into this factory and they think, oh, what are we gonna do? Drink some beer, tell some jokes, summon a demon. Because that always happens at parties. I don't know how many parties I've been to where somebody was like, oh, why are we summoning a demon? No, that never happens at any parties that I've ever been to, actually. Anyway, so they do the whole Knucklebone thing, and he comes and, oh wait, before that even happens, before they find the thing, they find this little box which tells them how to do the Knucklebone thing. But before that, stock character guy, he's like, I have to go out to my car to get some tools to break down this wall. Tell me why when he laid the tools down, they were every tool that would be used in a slasher movie. He came back with a machete, an axe, and a chainsaw, and I think he might have had a sledgehammer there too. There was a couple other things, but the machete, the axe, and the sledge, and the chainsaw stood out to me the most. But yeah, I can't believe this was, like, I looked on IMDb page thinking that maybe this is a horror comedy because it was so funny. It's not listed as a comedy at all. It's just listed as straight horror. And the thing about it was there was a lot of one-liners, especially said by the characters of the we'll call them teens. I don't think they're supposed to be teens. I think they're supposed to be early 20s. But the stuff they were doing was kind of teenage. Like, if you're a group of friends in your early 20s, what are you doing hanging out in an abandoned factory? That's where teenagers hang out because no one's parents want them hanging around their house, so they go find someplace else. But when you're in your mid-20s, you should have at least one or two or three or all your friends to pretty much have an apartment somewhere where you guys can go and chill at their apartment. I don't understand that. Anyways, what was I saying? I forgot what I was talking about. I can't remember, but anyways, the Knucklebones comes and starts killing people, and because there's only like 5 people and he starts killing them pretty quickly, the movie introduced like 4 more characters that they totally looked like extras from a Rob Zombie movie. They just walked in looking dirty, trashy, foul-mouthed, just like everything that Rob Zombie loves. And of course, I was glad that they came in the movie because I was thinking as I was watching the 5 characters that were in the abandoned factory, thinking this is not enough people for there to be like a really interesting, well, I can't say that because Psycho was an interesting proto slasher movie, even though only like 2 people got killed maybe in that whole movie. But still, it's more fun the more kills there are in the more creative ways, at least in my opinion. I want to talk about that actress. The actress that played the mother of the suicidal girl, she was terrible. Number one, she had like a maniac cop jaw, and then her line reading, she had not just her line reading, but her expressions. When she was supposed to look surprised or worried or look like any emotion was coming from her at all, nothing, just, hello, Sheriff? Have you seen my daughter? I wonder where she could be. Like, I tried to be as wooden as possible for that reenactment, but oh, Jesus Christ. I don't want to spoil the ending, but the main character or the final girl, I know I've done finger quotes at least 4 times in this review. Oh well. Anyways, the final girl does something to her own hand that she didn't have to do because she could have just found one of the dead people that the Knucklebone killed and did that to their hand. So that was kind of stupid, but I still had a lot of fun watching. I mean, like I said, the gore was decent. It was respectable and fun. I like it because it kind of took me back to those 1980s horror movies like The Burning. There was a little, I would say, Nightmare on Elm Street in this, and that Knucklebone kept on saying these one-liners as he was killing people. Like this one girl was peeing and he creeps up on her and was like, tinkle, tinkle, little star. I'm 12 years old. Yeah, that's funny to me. Anyways, I had a good time watching it. But like I always say, just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it. Just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. You just have to watch it for yourself. Let me know what you think of the movie if you saw it for yourself in the comments, and talk to you later.